he said, I guess. I don't know.
I'd like him to confirm this out loud to God and everyone.
We lose him.
He's gone forever. Here lies Harlech.
Ah, crap. Sorry. I got to talk to you. What's up?
He will be missed. You said you wanted to go talk to the Dockmaster?
Oh, I just mean I've been to him before, so like I can lead the party since I don't know that anyone else has.
Yep.
Sounds good.
You do it.
Go
You walk up
behind
to the
him.
Dockmaster. Again, he's got a big book in front of him on a table, sort of like set like out in the sunshine in front of like a shack. And there are little boys like taking messages all over the place, and he's scribbling in the book, and he sees you approach, and he says, I have forgotten your last name. Tell me your last name, Harlech.
It's like Merkin. Time. It's something. It's Merkaline. Merkaline.
Great. He says, Master Merkeline, it's so good to see you. I regret to inform you that I have not received a message. I will, of course, pass that on to your inn. Yeah, of course.
Of course. Yes. We had some other business actually. What's anyone? Anyone gonna speak up?
You cut out in the middle there.
Oh,
Sorry, I think my headphones are starting to go. Yes, I did say that, but we had some other business, gentlemen,
right.
and I'll turn to the rest of the party and be like,
So Geth, you don't know that the herbalist sent you to the dock yet. You just sort of met up with them for general shopping. So Quentin is really the only one. I mean, besides the rest of the party, but Quentin was the one that spoke with the herbalist and was, told to go to the Dockmaster.
Got it. Okay.
we were headed there for other reasons, weren't we? Or something?
Not that I remember. You have the address of the collector. I almost made you go to the Dockmaster for the collector because of something Brandon said last time, sassily, but you have the address of the collector. You're going to visit Blue's books again at some point to see if he has anything on cults. You guys wanted to go back to the potion master to buy health potions, and you wanted to investigate the murder at some point. Or at least you've been paid to investigate the murder at some point.
That was at a temple.
Okay, so somebody just said, "Hey, we should go to the Dockmaster."
The herbalist told you to go to the Dockmaster to get the ingredients on Geth's list that he gave to Quentin.
But Geth doesn't know that.
No, Geth doesn't know that.
Well, I don't understand why we're at the docks now.
Are you saying that out loud, or are you asking me why you're at the docks?
No, I'm saying that to the party.
Okay.
I think we were supposed to be looking for something. I don't know. Quentin was talking to someone about herbs for a thing.
Yeah, we were directed this way to find some of the harder to find items on your list. And I'll kind of nudge Brandel. Just like, do you have that list from Geth? Want to maybe pass that back to him?
Yeah, I'll give it to Quentin.
And I'll just kind of look at him awkwardly and look at the list in my hand and
The
say,
Dockmaster
"Thanks,
is
Brandel,"
standing
and I'll turn
there,
around
and he pulls a watch out of his pocket and like looks at it and puts it back in and is like,
Right. I guess I'm just gonna snatch that list. So apparently we're here for herbs.
So
Might you know where? And I'll start reading the.
So on this list, there are 3 ingredients. Geth, you have picked these ingredients based on a mix of myth and other rumor type things. The first one on the list is a plant called dragon scale. The second one on the list is called lily's tongue. And the third one on the list is called the silver bear.
So unless somebody stops me, I'm just going to read off the list of things that we're looking for.
Yeah, nobody gave me the list back, so go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know if Druge was paying super attention to know that the things on the list are they're harder to come by, yes, but do we know that they're like black market, like don't talk about this in public type?
Roll a.
I mean, the herbalist kind of hinted at it, right? Like she didn't outright say like, "Oh, this is weird shit," but like
She
she
did. Yeah, that's
she kind of
true.
like was like, "You're not gonna find this anywhere."
Roll a history check for me, or a nature check, or a survivalist check.
Ooh, I like survival. Let's do that. It's a 17.
Okay, so you know that dragon scale is incredibly rare, and Geth, you remember this from a folk tale that they only grow where dragons. It's a flower, and it only grows where dragons' scales are shed. Druge, you know of Lily's tongue because it's incredibly poisonous, and there aren't a lot of ways to recover from it. But it has been said that used in different kinds of dosages, it can be a medicine. Geth, where you're from, it is used as a medicine, but it's incredibly powerful, and you have to use it in really small doses. So you're thinking that potentially with something as large as a dragon, it wouldn't be necessarily. It's not a bad thing to get your hands on. The silver bear is actually not another plant. It's a kind of rock that is really odd. Normally, you find like rock in. I don't know how to describe this, but it's in my head, so therefore it's true. So the cliffs around here are mostly limestone, and in limestone you get different striations. And the silver boar is a fairly smooth, innocuous looking like stone that's like very round and smooth, and it is embedded in limestone deposits all over this area, but it's not very common. And there are just tons of uses for this, not necessarily for medicinal. And this again is Geth, something that you know from a folk tale that it can cure anything.
Okay.
Cool, but none of this is like overtly taboo. And if you were asking about it, like no one's going to be like,
It's not like shrunken heads or anything.
straight to jail.
Lily's tongue is very dangerous, and you asking to buy something like that would be very odd. Dragontail and Silverbear, like you'll just kind of get sideways looks, but Lily's tongue is incredibly dangerous. And Dragontail and Silverbear, you can't get those on the street, right? Like dragon scale, people don't even think that exists. Like they think that is a myth. The silver bear, they know that exists, but it's not like why like it's so rare.
It's a specialty shop at best.
Yeah, and like an oddball thing. It's like very eccentric.
Cool, but
All right.
It's eccentric, not necessarily illegal. So
Right.
I'm just gonna let him read.
Except for
So I
Lily's
read
tongue.
these things and be like, "Hey, so we're looking for these, and we were directed towards you. Do you happen to know where we might acquire them?"
So his eyebrows go up when you say Lily's tongue, and he says, "Of course, sirs. Who told you to speak to me about such things? Haha."
Oh, who directed us?
An herbalist.
Can I tap out in Thieves Can't? It's not for poison. We're fine.
He
And
cocks
see if I can.
he cocks an eyebrow at you, and he says, "None of that around here, my lad."
Like just kind of chuckle in the back.
He says, "I'll be needing a name of who told you to speak to me about such things, of course."
Listen, none of these ingredients are going to be used to harm anyone. We're trying to help.
Sorry.
I honestly don't think Harlech remembers, so he's got no idea.
Geth,
Quentin will step forward and say, "No one gave us your name directly, but we pieced it together through a few sources."
Oh, of course. Well, you'll be needing to speak to my notes. You'll be needing to speak to Korlak. about the dragon scales. Lots of people around here think that's a myth, of course, but Korlak actually collects things like that. He happens to grow a couple of oddities as well, and I've worked with him before. If anybody has it, it'll be him. As for the rest of it, well, why don't you chat with Korlak first, and then we can talk about the rest.
Where can we find Korlak?
Okay, so y'all are entering a skills challenge.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum. So, what we're gonna do is put a little bit of structure around the next couple of pieces for this ingredient hunting, if you will. What that means is, what a skill challenge is it's a way to get you to think creatively about your skills, and so you'll only be able to look. You'll only be able to look for these things as a group. That's very important. And you'll only be able to make rolls on skills you're proficient in. I'm going to tell you 3 skills that will definitely work and get you where you need to go for this. But you're more than welcome to use any of the other ones that you have as long as it makes sense for what you're looking for. Right? So like if you're like, where do we find Korlak? And I say, you can roll an investigation, or I'll say, which skill do you want to use for that? And if you're like, I want to use, I can't think of a bad skill. I want to use
Nature.
no, like I want to use
Medicine.
no, even that. Like there's
Performance.
Religion.
there's so many, right? Like I'll need a reason that's a good way to look for
Animal handling.
it. And you'll only be able to roll that skill once in this skill challenge.
Oh.
You'll also
Like as a group, we can only roll it once.
No.
Or as an individual.
individually. So I have a list of all of
Okay.
your proficient skills, and I'll be marking those off as you use them. Now, here's the other thing. If you guys get 3 failures, you'll fail this skill challenge.
And we never find Korlak.
Yep.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Cool.
Fun.
Vaguely terrifying. Let's go.
Any questions before we get going?
Has
How
the
many
Doc
of us
Master
have like investigation as provision?
4 of you have.
Yeah,
5 of you.
that's
No,
what I
4.
thought.
4 of you have investigation.
has the
So
Doc Master's kind of gone back to his thing, like he's clammed up at this point?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've suspended
Sorry.
game time to explain this to you.
All
So
meta.
the 3 skills that I will tell you like straight out will definitely work are investigation, perception, and persuasion, as you can imagine, both
Oh,
to
one of
find Korlak and then get the flower from him if he has it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And again, you can use any skills you're proficient with. And you may remember that I said that we'll do a skill challenge for each ingredient. I'll reset your skills between each one, right? So like if you
Okay.
use an
What
about-
investigation
Right now,
today,
specifically, we're looking for what?
you're looking for a guy named Korlak.
No, but like the what item is he
Dragon
going
scales.
for?
Dragon scales.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we doing this in any particular order?
The-
Reverse alphabetical order.
The ingredients?
Oh no!
You only know where to find one of them right now. And I assume you want to
I
find
meant-
Korlak before convincing
You
him to
mean
give you
like
the flower.
people jumping in with skills?
Oh, no, we're not gonna
Right? Are we going in an order? Are we going in however whoever decides?
Well, because we're not
Right.
sitting at a table, I'll probably use the Discord order.
Right.
And the reason I'm thinking about doing this, and this is kind of a negotiation because it's the first time I've done a skill challenge, to see what you guys think is I've been given feedback in the past by a player that sometimes if we're just waiting for everybody to jump in, it can kind of lag. So if you guys would like, I can just start at the top of the Discord list and be like, Geth, what will you do next?
Yeah, I think
Does that sound okay? Is anybody like, no, I
Yeah,
just
that
want
sounds
to
okay.
do a free for all?
No, it sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with either.
All right.
So just so I understand, like,
Mhm.
there's going to be multiple like levels. We're going to be using multiple proficiencies for getting this dragon skill. It's not like this moment is the skill challenge, and then
No. The goal is to get the flower. To get the flower, your first step is to find Korlak.
Okay.
And so this entire encounter is so it's not combat, right? Like I have all kinds of rules for combat, but this isn't combat. So this is a skills challenge instead.
So for direct translation for AJ, which might trigger in your brain, like a little bit like the trading game in Ocarina of Time. You have to find this person and talk to that person, and they can lead you here, and like that gets you access to whatever, like that.
Oh, there's gonna be like multiples of these within this dragon scale.
Yes.
Skill challenge.
Potentially.
Okay.
There will be multiple skill checks within this dragon scale, and you all need to work together. So it can't just be like Brandel has investigation. It can't just be Brandel being like, I investigate, I investigate, I investigate, like that.
I will engage in investigating.
You know, and it can't just be Geth being like, I use Arcana, then I use History, then I use Insight, then I use Investigation, then I use Persuasion. Like that's not gonna work either. You guys want to work together, and you want to try and think creatively about your skills. And so the Dockmasters told you need to find Corlac. Once I start the skill challenge, I'll say, Geth, is there a skill you'd like to use? And if you're like, no, pass, I'll just move to the next person. And if you're like, I want to use Arcana, I'll be like, tell me how you would use that. And if I think it'll work, I'll be like, great, roll for it. And if I don't think it'll work, I'll be like, try again.
Okay, I'm going to pass for now then.
Okay.
Do you have other questions?
No, that makes sense.
Okay.
I just
Anybody
don't
have
know
any
if
other
I have a
questions?
proficiency
I'm
that
like
big
the
or-
last kid. Okay.
So you have investigation. So I wrote down all of your so on your
Right.
D&D sheet, the things that are proficient are the things with black dots next to them. So all of you have at least 4, some of you have 5.
Wow. I wish I had 5.
In another game, somebody has 6 because they're weird.
I just want to hoard my proficiency.
You're gonna hoard your proficiencies.
that's
It's a thing.
my instinct right now.
Uh-huh.
Save them
Great.
for when I need them.
All right, so Harlech, the Dockmaster, tells you, you guys need go find Corlac, talk to him. He grows flowers. So Geth has passed. Quentin, do you have a skill you'd like to use?
Yeah. Do I get? Let me see. What kind of read do I get off of this guy? Like, is he eyeballing in a certain direction, like hinting that we should go somewhere?
Would you like to use your insight skill?
I would like to use my insight skill.
Go ahead and roll for that.
I'm gonna roll
That
the
makes
same
sense.
die I rolled earlier. That is a natural 20 plus 5.
Probably a success.
I hope.
Yeah, that's a
DC
success.
is-
The DC is 100. I'm just trying to like this is gonna be fun for me too because I literally cannot plan out the reactions for all of these skill sets, right? So let's see. I think what he's gonna do is when everybody's sort of like looking at each other, you're looking at him and you notice him look in a specific direction and cough, like, and in his cough you hear Blund Street, BLUND.
Great.
Sorry.
Nice.
What was the
I like
spelling
that.
on that? I was laughing too hard. That was great.
Blund, B as in boy, L as in Larry, U as in uncle, N as in Nancy, D as in dog.
Okay. So we're standing there and he's being all shady and goes, Blunt Street.
And he like looks in a very specific direction, like over
That's
to the
amazing.
Nice.
Okay. So I'll kind of for any of us paying attention in a very strong mockery of Brandon, I'll tip my imaginary cap and kind of nudge Druge and
tips his
start
actual
walking that
hat
way.
back to you and says, "Of course, of course."
I'll say, all right, folks, I think you've been very helpful today. Thank you very much. And
And
I'll
he
start
says-
walking in that direction.
Before you quite leave, he says,
Mm-hmm.
"Hem," and he like holds out a hand.
Get
I
gives him a
don't-
high five.
Oh, I'm gonna drop some coin. I
He looks.
was gonna
very,
actually drop some coin on his desk,
very
but I don't.
disapprovingly at
I'm-
you. Yeah.
I
I'm
will,
still
like,
looking.
act like I don't have coin.
Harlech, you give him. Do you give him any money?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find that portion of my character sheet so I know what I'm giving,
It's
and
under
I can mark it
equipment.
off. it's probably going to be a gold, but like I'm still.
I can also tell you based on.
Oh, I found it. Yes, I think that's the smallest denomination I have.
Gold.
Giving him-
Wow.
Your life sounds hard. I feel bad for you.
So he takes it and he palms it, and it sort of like disappears. And he says, "Of course, thank you. Once you've picked up that one, come back for something else, and I'll help you with the next one." For that, yeah. And he's like, "Have a wonderful day, masters. Of course, of course."
Good day, Dockmaster.
Okay, so you guys head off towards Blend Street.
Yep.
Now you have to find it. So Harlech, are you got any skills you want to whip out to try and find Blend Street?
Well, I've been here before. Would history work?
Yeah, I think if you were to say that you had been doing a bit of reading about the different areas in town, I might be able to
I mean,
give you
that's
a
pretty
history check.
plausible. I've been doing a bunch of reading and like trying to figure out what's going on underneath. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
probably have some.
Like you were looking
Yeah.
at the tunnels and stuff, so I think it makes sense. You were like researching previous maps and stuff.
That sounds right to me. Go ahead and roll a history check.
Who? I'm gonna use my luck because. Okay, that's way better. That's a 9.
Great. So you do recall an obscure portion of one of the. So one of the maps you picked up was sold to you by someone like on a street corner, and you used that like in cross reference with like a map and like a library book that you'd been looking at, and you saw the name Blund Street scribbled on this map, and you're making a best guess on where it is. And so you very confidently lead everybody off into what ends up being a sort of a more poorer side of town. The buildings are all much closer together and like a little more ramshackle. And you, the signs the signs are like scrawled onto the side of the buildings kind of thing. And you guys find Blund Street. Good job.
Woo!
Now what are you gonna do? Druge, you have found Blund
That's
Street.
me. Great.
What's up?
Is dragon scale something I may have come across before while I was out and about and traveling?
No, it is extremely rare, and I don't think you would have had a reason to need it.
Okay, but the Dockmaster did say that he grows a bunch of other stuff. Is
He
that
does. Yep.
correct?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
I will use survival in conjunction with my keen sense of smell to try and sniff out places with concentrations of growth.
That sounds good. I guess we'll say roll with an advantage because you're using your sense of smell.
Dope. So I'll kind of periscope with the tusk and and just kind of try and suss something out.
I will try not to take notes.
It's a 17.
Okay. So your trunk does pick up the scent of rich earth. Amongst all the other smells, you're smelling of like, the poorer sides of town of like things sort of decaying and, pee and stuff like that. You do pick
Great.
up the smell of like really damp, rich earth a little further down Blunt Street. So you guys step off the main thoroughfare and you follow Drew's trunk, and it brings you to yet another ramshackle building. And around the back, you guys go around the back, and there's actually it looks like another ramshackle building probably used to occupy this space, but it doesn't anymore. And there is just earth all around each of like the whole space, but there's an open space in the middle where you can like walk to like put stuff in the earth. And it's rich, dark. There's steam coming off it because it's a little bit chilly today, and there's all kinds of flowers. And there's a little gentleman, sort of hunched over one of the areas in the corner, and he's muttering to himself. And we're up to Brandel.
I mean, I don't know if I have anything remotely useful for this.
You can pass, or you can try to be creative.
We're looking
Use
for
something
the
remotely?
flower,
What was that?
right? We're looking for the flower, right?
You're looking for a flower called dragon scale.
How magical would you say this flower is?
Pretty magical.
Like, would I be able to use Arcana to try to see if it's here?
I
Or
would
anywhere
say
close.
that your kind of arcana, specifically because you're a furbolg and you've got all that nature crap, is probably
that's
a
what I was
little
going for.
bit different,
Ooh,
and
that's
you
good.
could probably use that to kind of like get a feel for the flower. Yeah, I think you could use that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
okay. So that is that's a 6 plus 3.
Folks, we have our first failure of the night.
No.
At least it wasn't into the back of somebody's head.
At least it
So
wasn't an attack roll.
so Brandel, you're, because of your background, you're a little bit unpracticed with this sort
Yeah.
of like.
I would assume, yes.
This is a new way for you to be using Arcana, and you're actually more familiar with cities than you are like deep woods. So I think this probably looks something like you kind of shake your head and just like you're shaking, water out of your fur, and just nope, that's not gonna work. So we're back up to Geth. Feels like I missed some. Oh no, they're not here. Okay, so yeah, we're back up to Geth. And so there's a gentleman hunched over the flower bed, muttering to himself, and he doesn't seem to have noticed you guys yet. You got a skill you want to whip out?
What skills have we've used?
It doesn't.
Insight.
It doesn't matter what anybody else has used. It only matters
Oh, it doesn't.
what you've
Oh,
used.
okay.
So Quentin can't use insight again, but you can.
All right. So because I've seen this flower, or like at least heard of descriptions of this flower, can I do an insight check to see if that's the flower that we need, or any of those flowers are the?
What I would use insight for is to talk to Korlak and see. Like insight would be like checking in with him. You could use investigation, maybe, to look around.
I'll talk to the muttering guy. And
You'll talk to the muttering guy. Okay, so what do you say? Don't roll anything yet. What do you say?
say, hey, we're looking for a special someone named Korlak, and we'd appreciate it if you could point us in the right direction.
So he sort of jumps and he clutches his chest and he says, "Goh, why you sneak up on him, man? Goodness!" And he drops.
Hey,
he had like a bag in his hand and he like drops it and he's like, what do you want?"
No, it's okay. I'm a healer. If you need any help, I can help you.
And he sort of like, he looks like he wants to spit on the ground and then sees like it's one of his flower beds and he's like, what do you want? I sell my flowers in the stalls on the market days. And he's like gesturing at all of you and he's like, "What are you guys doing back here? What do you want?"
Yeah, sure. Got it. We are looking for a dragon scale. We were told that you might be able to you have those that we could acquire some.
And he says,
As I'm like winking both my eyes, like, yes.
They're just blinking.
Not at the same time, but like trying to use like
Oh, I see.
persuasion as I can.
Blinking would be way funny.
It's twice as effective as winking.
"Do you want to use persuasion to try and get him to like tell you where if
I'll
he's
use
got the
persuasion.
flower?" Okay, so go ahead and roll for that.
That's a 17.
I enjoy that you just
Ooh.
blinked.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm behind on my notes. Give me 1 second. Okay, so he blinks solemnly back at you, and he says, "Well," and he gestures at his flowers, and he says, "Not all these are for looking pretty, you can. Or they're not all for smelling pretty, you can." And he says, "What would you be using this for?"
Cooking up a brew to heal a good friend of ours.
And he's working his jaw, like it's like moving around, like he's like thinking, and so it's almost like he sticks it out like mulishly, and then he like wiggles it to the side, and he wiggles it back to the side, and he's kind of like eyeing you, and he's like, "A friend, what do you give me for this?" And he seems to be like really like he's into this, but he's not just gonna hand it over kind of thing.
How about this? We will never scare you again.
He
We'll start
laughs
there.
and he says, "Yeah, that'd be good. But I like to sell my flowers to not to just anybody, not those flowers, you can. So what do you give me for it?"
What are you asking for it?
And he works his jaw for a minute, and he says, "I do have dragon scale. I do. I grow it for this." And he rolls his eyes. "This, yeah, a noble lady, you can. Ugh. And he says, "She buys them from me for 2 silver a flower."
Do I know how much dragon scale we need?
You're looking for like a flower.
Oh, okay.
And he sort of like
Well-
shrugs apologetically, like, I can't just give you anything. I cannot just give it. You can. Man's gotta eat. You can.
Sure. How about we match that, and I will give you 2 silver.
And his eyebrows go up, and he goes, thank you. That's actually what she pays. I wasn't fooling you. Now you can. We're friends. You can.
I wouldn't think anything of it.
So these mounds of earth are like mounds of earth, and they're about. I am gesturing at the ground, and none of you can see this.
How does it compare to the back end of a bulldog?
I hate you. It's like
I
the
didn't say
height
it, Nate.
of a couch, right? Like having a hard time with
But that's
measurements,
the
guys.
same height as the back end of a bulldog.
No, it's not.
Which portion of the couch?
Like-
Because there are 3 heights that
like
you can
this,
talk.
like where you put your butt on a couch.
That is a
Okay.
very good
Okay,
point.
okay, that's a good estimate.
Okay, and so he clambers over very carefully over one of these mounds onto the other side, and you realize he'd been hunched over the flower bed, and when he stands up, he's standing straighter, but he's still very short. So he clambers over to the other side of this flower bed, and he rummages around, and he comes back over, and he's holding very carefully in his hand a very delicate looking flower, and he says, "You know the story about these, you can?"
I've read a few folklore about it.
And he says, "Yeah, it's all stories though." He gestures around. He's like, "No dragons here, yeah." And he hands over this. It's got a very light green, very delicate stem, and one very long and thin green like leaf from the bottom, kind of like a tulip, but much more delicate than a tulip. And then the head of the flower is like pulls the stem down, so it's like bobbing down, and it's 4 teardrop shaped petals, and they're cascading down the flower like one after the other, but each is sort of offset a little bit. So like one's pointing a little bit to the right, the next one's a little to the left, the one under that's a little to the right, the one under that's a little to the left. So you can see like this delicate cascading. And as he moves the flower towards you, it has this like silvery sheen, and underneath the color switches from like blue to like a green, like a very light, like the whole flower is very sort of pale. And that silvery sheen is just when the light catches the petals just right.
So I'm just gonna kind of like laugh uncomfortably as he talks about, not being for dragons.
And he says, you know the secret.
Yeah, but why don't you tell me what you think?
And he starts to like make one of those like, oh, you gestures with like his whole hand, but he's like holding the flower, and he stops like he's protecting a flame almost. And he hands it over to you as you hand him the 2 silver. He tucks the 2 silver in a pocket, and there's actually still roots at the bottom. And he says, the best way to grow dragon scale is heat. You can. And he says, now, since I pulled this up, it won't grow for you. But if you want the potency, you're going to need to keep the roots on it until you use it. You can?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay. And he hands it over. And he watches you anxiously.
Just gonna hold it like a baby.
And that relaxes him. Like, I think he was ready for you to, like, shove it in a bag. And he would have been like, no. But he does not do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did everybody roll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys have succeeded on your first skill challenge. Congratulations.
Yay.
Woo. You have the dragon scale. So does this make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. What do you guys do next?
Well, we have to go back to the dock guy. The dock guy.
Before you leave, Corlex says, what else are you looking for?
What's the list? I'm just
Ba-da-ba.
gonna look around.
What was that word, man?
Who has the list?
We're looking for, and I'm just gonna like whisper Lily's tongue, and
And he like sucks in a breath when you say Lily's tongue, and he's like, whoa, you trying to kill someone?
no, heal a friend. Remember, healing friend.
And he like blinks very solemnly back at you like, yeah, heal a friend, I see. He
I'm
says,
just gonna touch him and cast Cure Wounds.
you touch him and cast Cure Wounds?
Yeah, this guy sounds like he might need some.
This is getting pretty awkward. I might meander out to this.
He stands up a little straighter and he's like, oh, I haven't felt that good in a while. Yeah, thank you. You can. Yeah, thank you.
Just a bit more of that is all we're trying to do.
And he says, I don't grow that kind of thing myself. You can, but who sent you to find me?
I think Quentin will kind of step forward and then kind of like do that lean forward, kind of like butlers do a little bit. And like, we pieced it together from a few different sources. And like just says the same thing he says to the Dockmaster.
He nods wisely and he says, course.
And then I kind of look sideways at the corner of my eye at Geth with a like, see how this works sort of expression.
Get this.
Use this every time you lie.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's getting at.
You guys, my dog is sitting very neatly in front of the like long mirror I have and staring at herself and turning her head from side to side like she's checking her hair.
Oh my god.
It is probably the cutest thing I've ever seen, and I have a puppy right now.
Who's to say she's not checking her hair?
She probably is.
I think she is. I'm trying to get a picture. It's so hard. Okay, what do you guys do next? Sorry. He's gonna head back to the Dockmaster.
I think that's next in the order of operations.
So
Yeah.
it took
I'm
you. What was that?
I say if I'm next,
You're out of this skill challenge.
oh, okay.
Completed.
Yeah.
For now.
Yes.
For now.
So it took you guys a couple hours to get here, so it's pretty late afternoon at this point. So when you get back to the dockmaster, he's actually closing up the book, and two boys, like skinny urchin types, are helping him carry it back into the little shack. And he turns around he like lets go of the book, and these two boys sort of stagger as you walk back up to him, and he says, "Ah, did you get what you look for?"
Some of it.
And he says, "Some of it. You were only looking for one thing."
I mean, as we told you, we're looking for 3, but we found one of them. Yes.
He rolls his eyes and he says, "Only sent you after one of them." Gosh. Okay, here's the thing. I can't tell you where to find Lily's breath, but I do know a man who needs a job done. He might be able to tell you where to find it. What do you say?
What about the silver bear? Is that less of a job?
And he says, "Don't have a beat on Silver Bear, but while you're looking for, I might be able to get my hands on some."
I think Quentin will kind of pop his rapier up out of his sheath with his thumb and say, "We can take on most jobs," and kind of like snap it back in.
He laughs. He says, "Of course, of course." And he whistles, and a boy brings him a piece of paper, and he pulls a pen out of his pocket, and he starts scribbling on it. And he's like, "This is the man you're going to want to talk to." And he hands over the piece of paper, and we have to take a break because I didn't actually think you guys would get through that skill challenge that fast, and I had to work longer than I thought I did today. So I need a minute
I'm
to
also
do the
outside
next
with
thing.
the puppy right now.
Or you guys can go do the other skill challenge I prepared, because I didn't know whether you were going to do the medicine stuff or the murder stuff. Those are your two options. But internet, we're going to take a
murder
break.
stuff.
Internet, we're taking a break. Bye. Hi, internet. We're back. I thought of all the things. All right. So the information that the dockmaster scribbled on a piece of paper is it says Roland, and then underneath it says Cheapside Cross, and then underneath that it says Seahorse. The skills that will do you a heck of a lot of good in this instance are athletics, deception, and investigation. Harlech, from your Ipsy.
Sorry.
From your knowing stuff about the layout of the area earlier, you know that Cheapside Cross is an area of town that is also poor but a bit more violent, and you know that the Seahorse is a bar. And as the dockmaster is sliding this over, he says, Rolla can be found about this time of day. Here. Tell him I sent you.
Goody goody gumdrops.
Of course. Happy to help. Why are all my animals making noise?
I don't know.
Make them stop. All right.
Does that mean I'm starting, or is someone
no,
else starting?
Quentin is up next, I think.
Oh,
Didn't Jeff
We'll
get
say-
the last one?
Yes, which means Quentin's up
I-
next.
yeah.
I will
would-
tell
I would
him
pass.
that
Hang on.
Okay, cool.
So go ahead.
I will tell him that this is a fairly shady part of town, and I'm going to look at him very meaningfully, without going into detail like a gentleman.
Are you looking at Quentin when you say
No,
this?
no, no.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Oh, Quentin. Okay.
I think he just stares at you blankly and says, "Well, lead on," and is just kind of confused.
So you guys head over to Cheapside. It's a bit like you guys end up walking for about an hour, and it is definitely on the other side of the inn from the docks. That didn't make
It's
sense, did
nighttime,
it?
right?
Yeah, you're getting into nighttime around now. So you make it to the Seahorse. There's a really, really crappily carved seahorse wooden sign hanging outside this bar. And as you guys walk up, somebody is definitely being chucked out of it. And the dockmaster, I don't know if he actually said this, but he tells you that Roland can be found behind the Seahorse this time of night.
Ah, okay.
So, what?
So, if we walk up, do we see anything? Is there like an alley around the building, or are
Nope.
they like smashed together? Okay.
Nope, there are alleys on both sides. This part of the town, it's just a street of bars, basically.
Okay. I think I'm gonna pass for now.
I will say that you can. I don't think the skill challenge really starts until you talk to Roland. Is how I'm thinking of this.
Oh, okay.
Now that I think about it, yeah. How about we say the skill challenge starts once you? I'll tell you when the skill challenge starts.
Okay.
Carry on.
So,
Alright.
Quentin will kind of like look at the group and probably on the way over there while they were getting closer and it was getting seedier, be like, keep your pockets tight and nobody bumps into you by mistake around here. And we'll kind of take the lead and he'll kind of put on this air of like he's not completely wasted, but he's been in his cups, and start putting on this act and kind of like stumbling towards the bar and like looks a little off kilter and he's like, this is the place I'm looking for, and like kind of like walk up and point at the door and then like Dick Van Dyke swing to the right and go down the alleyway instead.
Okay, hang on a second. So I just said that we were going to wait on the skills challenge after you said you
Yes.
wanted to pass, and then you give me such a sweet skills challenge because you know I'm going to ask you for a deception check. Come on, dude.
Okay, you can. I don't know who I'm deceiving, but okay.
No,
The
I don't
universe.
think I'm gonna. I'm gonna hold to my. We'll start when you get to roll.
Dangle it in front of the GM.
Ah, you're
So
killing
That's-
me,
that's-
bro. So,
So
you
The
that's
worst.
no, I did. I said don't roll for it. So you
That's okay.
you
So
head
that's
down
the air I'm
alley.
walking down the alleyway with,
Yeah, the guy that
like
got
stumbling
chucked,
through.
chucked out the door shakes his fist back at the door, but nobody else seems to notice you.
Okay. So I'm gonna kind of stumble forward, like I'm looking for somewhere to pee and see if but like really, I'm paying attention to keep an eye out for this guy.
So the alley goes
Or
all the
anybody
way back to the next street over. But it also has an open space behind it. Looks like maybe deliveries are made back here. And
Okay.
there are 3 gentlemen standing around a barrel that they've all got cups set on, like on the top of, and they're all talking and like laughing.
So if I guess if I'm the lead, do I pick up anything? Like, does this seem to be like a front, or like is there anything that I would recognize?
They look like workers, like
Mm-hmm.
either dock workers that are on, off shift, or the kinds of men you'd see around like hauling boxes and making deliveries and whatnot. And
Okay.
there is in fact an empty wagon to their right.
Okay.
They catch sight of you, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 of you. And especially when they catch sight of Druge, one of them steps back, and the other one says, "Oh, come on, don't be a baby." And he turns around and he sticks his thumbs in his belt and he goes, "What can I do for you, gentlemen?" He's
So
sneering. And yeah, go ahead.
I'll wander up to him and be like, "Oh, hey, I was told to find my cousin Roland. I think I got a little lost though. Do you know where he is?"
And he looks at his friends and he says, "Who's asking?"
My buddy here, and I'll point back to Druge and be like, he thinks we all look the same, and he doesn't believe that my cousin looks so much different than me, and so I bet him 5 gold that he looks way different, even though we're related.
You're an elf, right?
Yes.
Hey.
Yep.
He raises an eyebrow and he says, "You're no cousin of mine." And he turns back to his friends, like very pointedly ignoring you.
And I'll squint real hard and say, "Roland?"
And he turns back around and he goes, "Who's asking?"
I'll just drop the drunk act and say, "Hi, my name's Quentin Zilth. We were sent your way."
By who?
Well, and I'll kind of look at the group and say, we pieced some information together from around town that you might be able to help us with some supplies we're looking for.
And he shrugs and spits in the dirt and says, "Don't know what you're talking about." Turns back to his friends. Anyone can jump in. I know I'm not going in order, but happy to have anyone. Like, Luth can keep talking, but you can all talk
Sure.
as well.
Yeah. No, I think I'm pausing.
Anyone want to jump in?
Do we
I'm
really know-
thinking.
I was trying to
3 people at
remember,
once.
do we know the name of the Dockmaster? Do we just call him Dockmaster? Is that
You do just call him Dockmaster, yes.
okay?
The
I'll say-
DM sent this here.
Randall, would
Yeah,
you like
I
to
was
say
like,
anything?
yeah, I'll say the Dockmaster sent us your way.
And the guy turns around again and he says, "Oh, really?" And he says, "All right. How did he tell you how to find me?"
Well, we're looking for some special ingredients.
And he says, really?
Said that you could help.
And he says, well, I can help you if you can help me. So how about you help me first, and then I'll see what I can do for you.
Just look at the group.
How do transaction?
You're running point, man.
They reacted pretty strongly when they saw me, right?
Oh, yeah. One guy stepped back, and the guy doing all the talking was like, stop being a baby.
Cool. Druge will take a step forward and depends what you need help with.
And he looks you up and down, and he says, oh, I think you'll do. And he laughs, like, to the third guy, and the third guy laughs nervously back. And the guy that had stepped back at the beginning is, like, holding his beer very, very nervously. And the talker turns back to you, and he sticks out a hand, and he says, my name's Roland. Who am I speaking to?
Druge. And he'll just hold the hand out and probably just engulf his hand with his.
He shakes it, and he says, yeah, I think you'll do just fine. Listen, I've got some... I'm pausing, but not for effect. I can't think of the word. Good. I've got some goods that need to be moved from the back here down to the docks. But, and he, like, sniffs and wipes his nose. Needs to be, all casual, like. Think you can help me out?
Think I can manage.
And he says, all right. And, he gestures you over to the back of the bar, and like there's an open door into like a very crappy looking kitchen. And if you look through the kitchen, it's all the way out into like the common room where you can see a bar and people carousing. And he snags a couple of boxes and hauls them out, and they're about gesturing again. Is this a foot? Yeah, a foot square. And
Sure,
there are
easy.
4 of them.
Cool.
And he says, I need these moved down there in the next hour. And you're gonna find a fella with a blue hat. And you tell him Roland sent you.
Any other details on this person with a blue hat?
Oh, you'll see him. You'll know him when you see him.
Fair enough. And I'll go to pick up the boxes.
Druge, you are familiar with a certain class of criminal.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are not that classy. But they think
Great.
they're very cool.
Sorry, I dropped out there for a second. Familiar with what?
A certain class of criminal. Like he's run into like fancier
Gotcha.
criminals
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
past, and these guys are not fancy.
Right.
They're doing their best, okay?
Okay.
They're like wearing a shirt that says casually hanging out in the alleyway. Definitely not a criminal.
Yeah, Geth is just gonna emphasize. Yeah, we're super casual.
They wear shades and a lot of leather. Yeah.
I really want Geth to try and like
They're
make
wearing
that weight and
tracksuits
have it
and
collapse.
Yeah, it's like it's more the chains and tracksuits, like, but it's like super white
wanna go
skinny
bowling?
dudes kind of thing. That's not what they look like in real life, like
Yeah.
real life. In this
Right.
fantasy life, they're just dock workers. But yeah, they think they're very cool, and they are just like, tell them
So-
Roland sent me blue hat. What is this?
How heavy are those boxes?
They've got some heft to them. And this will be the start of your next skill challenge.
I'm just picturing not Hans, the enforcer with the big feather, as like the guy we have to go find.
Oh, the challenge is carrying boxes.
But we have to be sneaky about it.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Thank you for clarifying
I
that.
didn't
I
actually-
could not think of a polite way to be like,
Don't just walk
no
down the
word
street
there.
with
Yeah, don't just
contraband.
walk down the street with these boxes of drugs.
It's gonna lead the way.
Prohibition, and this is moonshine.
Nothing
Okay.
to see here.
All right.
I
Don't
wanna-
say that out loud.
I want to change something I said. I said he needed him down by the docks in the next hour. It
Mhm.
took you guys an hour to get here. He's gonna say he needs him down by the docks in the next 2 hours.
Okay.
Oh.
So we don't have to go sprinting down the middle of the street.
Yeah, I
don't have
realized
boxes
like that
to
wouldn't
run.
work really well. Okay, so how many boxes did I say there were? 3?
You said 4
4?
1 foot
4.
boxes?
4 sounds great. How many of you are there? 5? Great. Yes, there are 4 boxes.
Cool. And it's still Quentin's turn for the skill check.
Yeah, so we'll start with Quentin.
I think what Quentin would do at this point is he would try and get on the roof to run like scout so he could see like from above.
Okay.
Could I use should I try and climb up there with like an athletics check?
Yeah. Okay. Are you gonna run this by anybody, or you're just gonna start climbing along?
He just turns around and starts climbing.
I feel like
I
it's
mean,
important
kind
to
of.
clarify this.
I feel like at this point, like this is one of the things that would fall into the category of Druge and Quentin just working together previously. So he, Druge would pick up the boxes and Quentin would kind of be like, "Yep, this is our thing," and he does the heavy lifting and I run point. So he'll kind of look at Druge and nod and turn around and try and scramble up onto whatever roof would be connected to like go from roof to roof sort of thing.
Yeah.
You said these buildings are pretty tightly packed, right?
In the part of Cheapside, in the part of town. Sorry, Blunt Street is not in Cheapside Cross. So in Cheapside Cross, things are there are a lot more alleys to lurk in.
Gotcha.
So running along the rooftops, you might be able to do it, but if you're gonna run along multiple rooftops and you can only use athletics once,
yeah. Will. Yeah, if they're not as close together, then he'll probably go. I'll go back out to the street, and see if like kind of from the shadow I can look for anybody who's patrolling or keeping an eye out for pickpockets that might try and knock us over and take the whatever is in the boxes just so they can get their hands on it.
okay. So you're gonna do like a scan.
Yeah, like with perception.
Roll for scan.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Okay. That is a dirty 20. 13 plus 7.
So, there are guards, like the City Watch, doing the thing where they walk through town.
Patrol.
Patrols. They are patrolling. God, words are so hard. I swear to God, I speak very good English sometimes, and I'm a very good writer. So there, you noticed on your way over here, and as you casually poke your head out the alley, you see a patrol coming down the street, and they're fairly regular. And you've also noticed that they will stop people that like there's this one guy careening off walls, and they stop him and then like question him like, "Are you on your way home? Like you're a drunk idiot." They've got a torch with them, and they're poking it into alleys to make sure there's nothing going on down there. They're being fairly casual. They're not like stopping everyone, but they're definitely paying attention.
Okay.
Harlech, what do you do?
I'll come back and report that.
Oh goodness. Okay. So we've got a ways to go, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Have we passed anything interesting?
Why? Be more specific, you weirdo. You're walking through an entire city, and I don't know what you mean by interesting. You're fired.
Fancy.
Also random.
Looks
What are you
like
looking for?
it's expensive. Looks like it might be something that the guards would be very particular about people approaching. A police area, guard area, a fancy store, anything like that.
Nope, you're in Cheapside Cross. Everything is real cheap. There isn't a guard station down here. The guard station you're familiar with is like a half an hour north. And that's where you met Lieutenant Rate. This is not a nice part of town, so there's nothing. I mean, technically, the buildings are relatively expensive. Try this. Tell me what you want to do.
I want to scare and or distract the guards a lot. That's what I want to do.
You
And
wanna
I'm probably going to do it
scare.
with magic.
Or distract. Using Arcana.
If there was a fancy place, I would set it off an alarm. If there isn't a fancy place, I think I have to create a distraction
Why
via
don't you just light
magic.
Why don't you just light something on fire? Like, come on. You forget who you're hanging out with right now? Just light it on fire.
Wait, is the GM trying to get us to be murder hobos?
No!
Yes, but Harlock isn't a pyro.
That,
If you're
that's
trying
the
to
other
Not
scare
taking
and
fireball?
distract guards, I would.
However, Harlock does
Fireball.
Harlock does have an unseen servant, and that servant can do some crazy shit.
That sounds good.
But it has to be a skill check.
I believe this would make it an arcane, right?
All right, yeah, that works. Okay. So what are you gonna have your unseen servant do?
So start trashing something down the street, smash windows, carry around a torch. I don't know, something involving.
Okay.
Mickey Mouse Fantasia.
Roll an Arcana check for me.
I'm just hearing trashing the camp from Tarzan in the back.
I thought about silent image, but I can't come up with something good.
Please, can it be that? Oh, that makes me so happy.
I'm using another luck point because apparently I'm
Wow.
pulling terrible.
I'm really amused by this. Did you roll better the second time?
Not hugely. I got a 12.
Well, you beat the DC, so there you go. Okay, so your unseen
How
servant.
about it?
How about it? Your unseen servant just starts smashing in windows, and it is unseen. The guards immediately whip around when they start hearing the smashing, and they don't see anybody except the guy that they had corrected and told to go home. You're drunk. You're drunk. Go home. Go home. You're drunk. What's the phrase? Go home. You're drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use
Yeah,
that.
that's the phrase.
Luth, you're muted. And they just see him looking bewildered at the smashed window next to him. And they're like, hey! And he turns around and he's like, and then starts trying to run, but he's really drunk. And so he's really just like walking really slowly, but he's like waving his arms around like he's running. And the guards run up to him, and then other windows start getting smashed, and the guards are like, wait, what is going on here? And so like one of them is like blowing a whistle, and the other one is like running from window to window being like, what is this? So you have caused a distraction.
Distraction.
You guys gotta take it. Druge, what are you doing next?
I will use athletics to take 2 boxes under one arm, one under another, one in the trunk, and just move very quickly through the streets.
Oh, he's
with
just
my
taking all.
lifting capacity of 1,000 pounds.
Sure. Okay, roll me an athletics check.
Interesting.
That's 25.
You do that.
Good God.
So you pick up all of the boxes and you take advantage of the guards. Now they are heading away from, like they went left and you want to go right. So you guys head right.
Excellent.
And you make it a pretty good distance until Quentin spots another patrol. Brandel, what do you got? Now you can I wiped your slate clean, so you can use any of your thingies. Skills.
Yeah, that's what I was
Proficient skills.
thinking. I do have stealth. I don't know, like, I mean, Nick is already carrying all the boxes, right?
That's true. Yes, he is.
I mean, you could do a
Mhm.
manual unseen servant and turn invisible and then just go smash a window and
Yeah,
run
but it's
away.
only like it's so quick. I have to like literally sprint.
That's true.
Hmm.
How fast is invisibility?
6
6
seconds. Because it's literally just one turn.
It's just invisible, punch window, and then like
Yeah,
move 5 feet over and be like, I don't
stand
know.
next to it and run away.
It'd be easier to throw a rock.
Yeah, honestly. um. Like, I could, like, could I, like, do we see the guards or something?
Yeah, you see the guards.
And you said it's like the evening, right? Like it's not crowded at all.
Right. I mean, there are people walking to and fro, heading to bars and stuff. What do young people
Bars and
do
stuff.
in the evening? I don't know, bars and stuff.
Start
Like-
fires, break windows.
I mean, I could try to like stealth myself, but like I don't think that's helpful at all.
Well, you don't just have to stealth, right? Like you've got other.
No, yeah, I mean,
Skills.
I could try to sleep the guards.
No, this is a skill check. Oh, yeah, Arcana.
I
suppose.
know.
But you
I
could.
guess
you
it
can
could be
also.
Arcana, like-
You can also skip if you want. If you can't think of anything in this particular moment.
Sure, I'll skip this turn.
Okay. Geth, you're up.
So we're still in the alley. We see a bunch of guards checking out broken windows.
Nope, you're a couple streets down now. You see new guards that are doing a new patrol, like 6 or 7 blocks over. You're maybe halfway to the docks.
All right, Geth is gonna just walk out, just walk
Okay.
towards the docks.
Okay.
Are we there yet?
No, you guys have to get past this patrol, dude. Like you have to get past this patrol first.
So one of the things that was listed was deception.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not proficient in deception.
Oh,
though.
I see.
can't use deception. I'm trying to think of how I could persuade them.
Persuade them to pay attention to something else while we take the rest of it.
Hey, Geth is just gonna run out and just like, hey, did you guys see there's a bunch of windows being broken over there? You guys should really get a handle of this city.
Roll a
We're on the same
persuasion
team,
check.
you know.
Sure.
I'd do it myself, but I got things to take care of casually, you know. 19.
Yes.
I'm definitely not a guard. You guys should take care of this guard stuff.
As soon as you're like, guys, there's a guy smashing windows back there. They're like, what? And you're like, you should be taking care of it. And they're like, we really should. And you realize they're really young, and they're like, really nervous. And they're like, where? And you point, and they're like, well, we're on it. And they like Drew just like being very casual, and they just go right past. Tara, not right now. Go lay down right here. And they just run right past him, like, and they kind of go in the wrong direction, but you don't really care.
It's amazing.
Okay.
Gonna yell, great job, guys.
Like 17. Oh shit, we should.
Okay.
Oh, that's really good.
That was really good. I liked that. I enjoy that you've used persuasion dice. You're a dork.
I like I would do it, you know, but I have stuff to do casually.
Casually, yeah, that's probably my favorite part.
Super
All right,
cat.
Brandel, you got anything you want to do to assist getting all the way to the dock? Hang on, let me look at your skills. Okay, you guys are at the dock, and you need to find the guy with the blue hat, Brandel. Word man.
Oh wait.
Your name is Brandel. You're looking for a guy in a blue hat, and you could use a skill to do that.
Well, I mean, I guess I can just use investigation, like just
You
look for
sure
something.
could. Are you
Yes.
doing anything in
What?
particular? Yeah, I know, right? So there's there's people moving around the docks. Like there's people fishing. There's a little bit of like there's people on the end of every dock like playing cards and stuff, like guarding the
Oh,
docks.
fun.
So go ahead and roll an investigation check.
12 plus 3.
Nice.
Nice.
15.
So there are torches at the end of every dock, like 3 torches on posts. What are those called? Things that hold up docks. Posts, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And so the area is fairly well lit. Every like it doesn't seem like a pattern, but some of the torches have gone out, and all the way at the end of the dock, behind where the dockmaster's hut is, which is all closed up and locked, there's a dock with only one like sputtering torch, and in the shifting light, you manage to see a guy with a bright blue hat. It's like a cap, like kicked back on his head, and he's leaning up against the post, but you manage to just see it.
Okay. I'm gonna like gesture to the rest of the group and be like, "Hey," and wave my arms a little bit. Be like, "Hey, I see the guy."
All right. So
I
you
will
guys,
head
Dude in
towards
a
the
hat.
guy.
so you guys managed to succeed on all of the checks. Good job. So we're out of the skill check, but please continue.
Yeah, I will proceed towards the guy carrying various and sundry boxes.
He's chewing on a piece of straw, and he's like, "What do you want?"
Roland sent us delivery.
And he goes, "Oh yeah, all right, well, here you go." And he like jerks his head back towards the ship. He's like, "Leave him over there."
Cool. I will go put them over there and then hold my hand out for a coin, tip, etc.
He sniffs and he's like, "You're doing this for Roland. You go get your money from him."
I'll kind of lean over him and like make sure his head is directly between the tusks and hold my hand.
What a-
out.
Wow.
What a great time to check and see what these things.
Roll an intimidation check.
Is this charisma or strength based?
Huh.
I think strength based sounds right.
Eh. 12 plus 6, 18.
He says, "I don't have any money on me. Like, you just have any?" Like, pulls out like a couple of coppers.
I will snag them with the trunk and head off.
He like shakes a fist and swears at you, but that does not seem to be uncommon on this dock. So you guys head back to Roland, and he's still out back behind the seahorse. And every window on this street has been smashed. All of them have been smashed. And there are 6 watchmen standing around, and like this one guy is like so frustrated, he's like in tears. He's like, "There was nothing there." And there's one that looks more senior and who like gestures meaningfully around the street and is like, "Really? So this just happened?" And the frustrated guy's like, "Yes." And his partner is like, "It really did just sort of happen." And the senior looking gentleman like shoots him a dirty look, and he's like, "What? I mean, it didn't happen." And the other 4 guys are like, "How did you do this?" And he's like, "It just had like," and they're just like messing with him, and he's like, "Ugh." He's so frustrated. And every bar like owner is like on the street yelling like, what do we pay you for? So you've caused like the biggest ruckus ever.
How long does your unseen servant last?
An hour, but like he's following me around. So
In the
I'm going to
distance-
cast.
In the distance,
good.
you hear more glass shattering.
Well,
Oops.
just because it's funny, I'm going to cast Minor Illusion and do that in other distance.
The guy that looks frustrated literally has tears coming out of his eyes, and he just makes this like keening, frustrated noise. And one of the other guards laughs, and the senior looking guy is like, "All right, spread out, find this guy." And they scatter, and the frustrated guy is just like, "There's nothing there." And his partners are like, "I know, buddy, come on."
Somebody forgot to write the end command into the script.
Almost enough to make you feel bad.
Almost.
So you head back into the alley, and Roland and his buddies are actually have poked their head around the corner to see what all the fuss is about. So they see you're coming, and they back into the courtyard. And he says, "Well, did you do it?"
I'll make some more glass smashing noises.
He looks
Already
around like
done.
there's no glass to smash, and he's like, "What the hell?"
It's already.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, that was a yes.
And he's like, "All right. Now what did you need?"
Geth is gonna whisper, "We're looking for Lily's tongue."
He raises an eyebrow and he's like, "Oh, you want to kill a fella, huh?" Well,
No, why does everybody think we want to do that?
and he spits in the dirt and he's like, "'Cause you obviously want to kill a fella." And he's like, got real aggressive all of a sudden. And he goes, "Anyway, you guys have
Wanna
done
get
me
back
quite
into
a bit of a favor." And he reaches into it like his belt, like there's a pouch on his belt, and he pulls out like another pouch, and he flips up the top, and it's got little like pockets in it, and he pulls out a very tiny glass jar that's got a cork in it, and he holds it up to the light so you can just see there's a couple of petals in there. There's like 5 or 6 petals in there, and they've got frayed edges, like the not the part that's attached to the flower, but like the part that's like out. This is so hard. I'm making hand motions. And the leaves are like a weird green color. It doesn't look like a flower color. And he's like, "Yeah, there you go. Here you go." He hands it over.
And that's enough that we would need.
Yep, you think so. I mean, you're kind of making this up as you go along, but this seems right.
Cool. Yep, this looks like the stuff.
He goes, "Of course it's the stuff. Now get out of here."
All right, I will proceed to get out of there.
All right. So it's pretty late, and you were just at the docks, and the dockmaster was not there, and he's your lead for the third ingredient. So you guys have to go back to the inn, unless you want to get a drink.
Not there.
Do that at the end.
Not there.
It's true. Marie probably has much better ale.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And plus, if anything, I want to
Exactly.
give Marie my money, not these guys.
It's enough that I didn't investigate what the hell I was trafficking.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm impressed you didn't look at any of that.
Well, I was gonna check while Druge was intimidating the guard, but
Oh, I
nobody
must
said
have missed
anything,
that.
so I just.
I'm sorry.
Quentin would have stopped you anyway.
I mean, if you want to tell me, something else might have happened, but if you don't tell me, we'll assume it.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap up because we're getting close to the end time. What did you guys learn this evening?
This whole ass town is shady as fuck.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Everyone expects.
I mean, significant portions. That's fair.
I mean, it's a city.
Apparently, no one knows about Unseen Servant. Go me.
You're in the cheap. Ugh! This makes sense, guys. In the world
does
that I
make
built,
sense.
it makes sense.
No, that's not.
Yeah, I just mean it's really handy.
Is that something you want me to write down as a learned?
Let's go with no.
Then what else did you guys learn?
There seems to be enough of a substantial underbelly here that you can get things in trade, particularly if you don't ask questions.
The Dockmaster is a hub of unusual activity.
So that's a good one.
We're very good at piecing together info.
The best lie in your repertoire should be, we pieced it together from various sources.
If that turns into a thing.
It's gonna be a thing.
It's already a thing.
I guess now is a good time to move to RP point.
Okay.
Oh,
I mean, I think that's the first and most obvious one,
Is
right
it?
there.
No, let me
Yeah,
type it in so you guys can vote and I can have a screenshot party.
I
So
fully expect this to backfire at some point. However, it's there.
we pieced it
What are
together
the
from
nominations?
various sources. Is that what you
Yes.
to explain how they know stuff? Done. What else?
I had Brandel for when I asked him for the note so I could give it back to Geth. He just looked at me and handed it to me instead of handing it to Geth,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
which was a
You
callback
asked
to
for
the.
it.
I did, which is a callback to the reverse when I was like, "Here's this note." He talked to the herbalist, and you just handed it to the herbalist.
Oh, right.
That was really good.
Mhm.
He's just bad at people.
But in the best
I
way.
mean, it's right there on the note, dude.
What else?
Here, you read this.
Harlick for not only the unseen servant, but using the glass shattering noise as an affirmative.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really good.
That was good. I like that.
I liked Quentin acting drunk to find Roland.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
The thing with Druge.
To zero effect. I feel like that should be mentioned.
It didn't do anything. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you were doing. Like, you had very clear instructions and, like, a thing you were
Yeah.
supposed to say, and you started acting drunk, and I was like, but why? And I didn't recover.
Not everything's
I'm so
about
sorry.
rolling a die. Sometimes it's just for flavor.
I know, but, like, it didn't make sense. Your GM failed you. I'm sorry.
You didn't.
It
fail
might
at all.
result in an RP point. Just leave it alone.
All right, we've got 4 nominations for RP points. If we have
Wait.
anybody watching the stream live, I am happy to take suggestions from our
Am I
audience
am
as
I
well.
muted?
No, I'm
Wait, am I
listening to
still
you. I'm
muted?
just
Oh, sorry.
ignoring you.
No, that's okay. I
I'm
had
talking to the internet.
sorry. I had 2 for Geth.
Okay.
One was in the Dockmaster was like to get like a tip, and Geth just gave him a high five right after giving Brandon a high five like 10 minutes before that. I like the continuity there. And then his interaction with the guards where he's like his persuasion of there's things happening, you should stop it. And then it worked. That was pretty good.
Investigate. I cannot type. All right. We have a bunch of nominations for RP point. There are 5 of you. I need you guys. There's too many. Oh well. Vote.
Um.
What is that bear investigation emoji?
It's a bear investigation.
Where did you even get a bear
have no
investigation
He
emoji?
just types in words and finds
Look,
stuff.
it's a bear. It's investigating.
I'm very happy right now.
Oh my God.
Ah,
Getting servers, dude.
I got 4. I need one
that
more.
may require an RP point in the future.
Yeah. Oh, good grief.
Can an emoji get in RP point.
I only have
I
4
don't know
votes, and I
exactly.
need 5, even though I know who won. But I still want the 5th vote.
I tried to vote and it didn't work. That's what I voted for.
I mean, I
Sorry.
Okay.
didn't vote again.
Well, the RP point goes to Quentin for using the lie. We pieced it together from various sources to explain how they know stuff a bunch.
Catchphrase.
Oh man, I'm gonna so enjoy using this later.
Well done, Quentin. Okay,
Yay.
so I think we're on for next week.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
Yeah, I should
Stream,
be.
it has
Yeah.
been a lovely evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful evening. Bye.